Everybody, Brian back here. We're going to take a look at XRP and Bitcoin. Getting a nice pop here, right? Down to, what was the low on this thing? Low 98.62. And right now we are at $1.2977. So, pretty nice pop here last, let's see here, last couple days. Look at this thing. Let's get this up here. There you go. You're getting above that 200-day moving average here on the daily. Just sticking its head up above it there. Looking pretty decent, right? We'll come right back over to this chart. Going to pull you over here to Bitcoin. The things I've talked about in the past, right? Get the RSIs off the bottom here. Obviously, I think in my mind this means something, right? 2017 came back tested to 2017. That was the low. This was technically our high back in 2021, right? We've come back tested that high, and so far Bitcoin has held. You know, took a lot of slack for that when I made that video, but it has held so far, right? Now the big thing is, can it get through? Let me put this here. Those of you that follow your trend lines, you can see here, we put a line up through here, right through there. You know, can it break through here? You know, that's the question. That's up at about, I don't know, 75.5 roughly, right around there. If you put a Fibonacci on this, you know, does this look like it's starting a 5-wave up? It looks like a pretty decent, you know, 1, 2, maybe a 3-wave starting. Maybe, right? Maybe it gets bounced back off of that, 4th wave back, and then maybe a 5th wave up through. We'll have to see what happens with it here. But if you put a Fibonacci on this and you look at it, yeah, it's going to be right up around that 702, right? That we talk about a lot. So, maybe a rejection up here around 75.3, a pullback, and then a push up through. Possibly, right? Weekly RSI looks good, heading to the upside. Your daily RSI is getting towards the top, right? For Bitcoin. Yeah, so I would keep your eye out around that 75.3, you know, to 75.5, right around that area, and see what happens here. Now, if we zoom in a little tighter, right, let's go on a 4-hour. You can see quite clearly 5-wave set right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 waves up here, so possibly a pullback here real soon. You can see the 4 hours getting pretty exhausted here, down on the regular RSI. The stochastics at the very top. If you go on the 8-hour, same thing, ready to roll over here. But on the 8-hour, you can also see you're starting a different set of Elliott waves. On the 12-hour, you can tell this is just a wave 3. You got 1, 2, wave 3 right here, heading up still. And on the daily, of course, that still looks like that wave 3, you know. So might get the pullback sooner than expected. It might make it up here to 75.3. I just have to keep an eye on that. Like I said, starting to get a little exhausted here. It's gone up. What are we up here? Pretty decent move. 15.5. Pretty good run, right? Not too bad. We'll take that any day. It's been a long time since we've had a 15.5% run in a week. You know, if you look at this chart, look at this. It's been a while, right? I mean, this one nice big green candle definitely looks like a wave 3 to me. All right, and today's Thursday. Still got a couple days left, so something I talked about over in Discord was right down here. I put this out in Discord, this bullish divergence. You know, whoop, sorry about that. on the weekly. You had this low here, and you had a lower low. You had this low and a higher low on the divergence, right? You can see down there at the bottom. I put that out in Discord, so everybody that took advantage of that, great. You also had it on the stochastic, also bullish divergence, this low and a higher low. So you want to come over and join our Discord and trade with us. That's a level 3 membership in the description of the video. Come over and sign up and come trade with us. Start to maybe get that time where we might get some decent moves here, right? Especially if Bitcoin starts moving. XRP, let's get back over here and take a look at this thing. On the daily, RSI still heading up. Okay, the weekly, you know, the question is, did we break out of this overhead resistance on this thing? You can see. Let's get the 200 up here. Let's get that. Let's hide that here. Right, you had this overhead resistance, this trend line coming down through here. Is that a break? You know, is that a clean break of this thing? Or does this tend to be a fake out and a rollover? You know, like I said, the daily still heading up. The weekly looks great, don't it? Look at that. Look at that. You also had bullish divergence down here. If we pull this up, let's maximize this. Right, look at this down here at the bottom. You had this low and a higher low, and if we minimize it on price, you had this low and a lower low, right? So you had bullish divergence on the weekly. That was a good sign right there that something was going to happen. What is XRP up this week? It's a nice move, about 32.5%. Right, really nice move. And if we come out, pull out on this, let's go out to monthly. Monthly RSI, look at that. It looks absolutely beautiful, right? Put a fib on here, go from our low, the bear market here, pull this up right on a 786, Could start moving here, right? Absolutely, no question about it. This thing could definitely start moving. Now, could it pull down any deeper? If you go out on a 6-month chart, right? You have a support, very solid one, obviously 6 months. That there is one down here at about 83.45. Okay. Could have pulled down there. Yeah, it could, right? We're right on a 786 here as it is, up 30% for the week. Looking pretty decent, You put a fib on this thing, I would think it would have a way to go yet if it's going to run to the upside. When you look at this, even if it gets up to a 3.2, that's at $2. I'm not saying it's going to do that. Could it do that? Yeah, it absolutely could. If Bitcoin is showing signs of a bottom, and Bitcoin has held over here for what now? Let's go to monthly. You got you're working on 1, 2, 3 months. Okay. Now, granted, yeah, this has happened before. Right here, you had 1, 2, 3 months, and then a rollover. All right. I think a big telltale sign of a solid break of a bottom would be a break right here of this. Take out this close right here, 76,440 roughly. It takes out that and starts marching above that. That would be a very good sign for Bitcoin, for sure, no question about it. A lot of people out there calling for 49. Does that have any relevance to it? Well, let's go out. Let's zoom out on this thing. Let's go on a 6 month. What do we got down here? There's 45, 46, roughly down here. Pretty solid area of support down there. What I find also pretty interesting is, check this out. All right, you got 2017, 1, 2, 3, 4, back tested the top of wave 1, 5. That's something. 2017 to 2025. You have a 5 wave setup here. What does that normally mean? Normally means an ABC back down. Alright, so could Bitcoin run up? Could this happen? Something like this. Pull this down here. Get a run. Your A, B, back up to 618. And that'd be the whole way back to up to 100,000. And then a C back down here. Could something like that happen maybe? Could, right? Absolutely. No question. Definitely could happen. We'll see. We'll see here, right? We get that break, like I said, of that area right here. These closes on the monthly here at 76,440. Be a good sign that it has some more up room for sure. All right, let's go over here and take a look at the Dow Jones and the S&P. See what's going on over there, right? That's huge. 53,000. Oops, get that off there. Let's open this up. There, let's just delete everything off there. There we go. Alright, let's go on a 6 month. Still holding that, right? I mean, that's an EMA 9 underneath here right now. But you can see how it has held that beautifully. I mean, just absolutely beautifully. The 6 month is that you still got the RSI heading to the upside on the 6 month. Where are we at in the 3? 89.12 and 89.12. No bearish divergence down here. Let's go to monthly. 1 month. No bearish divergence. Still bullish here, right? Definitely still bullish. The question is, is this thing getting it to the point where it's getting tapped out? Got a pretty good fall here. Could get a pullback here. Wave counts. I believe in these wave counts big time. I really do. You got 5 waves here. Could you get an ABC correction here? Could, for sure. Right? This thing has just been going up and up and up. Look at this 3 month. I mean, this thing has just marched to the upside. Back from the beginning here. All the way to the top. That's a 685% move. Wow, almost a 7x from way down here. Alright, the Dow Jones. Let's take a look at the S&P. Real quick here. How about gold? 45.11. Look at that. Gold came right down back into that box that I put there. Absolutely perfect. I put that there as a pullback area. Last time I did gold, I said watch this area for a potential bottom. Came right in here, and it's starting to march back to the upside. You put a trend line on here, right down through here. Look at that. Got a break. Does it continue to the upside or not here? You got the weekly heading up. Weekly looks good. The monthly's right at the bottom. That looks absolutely beautiful. Do we get one more push up higher, or does this thing A, B, and then another pull down, a C wave that to the downside, down here somewhere? But nailed that pullback for sure. Got that right in that zone. Let's look at a 12-hour. So we'll see what gold does. Right now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Could get a little pullback here before the next push to the upside. Some bearish divergence down here in the 12-hour. Got this high here and a lower high. You got this high here and a higher high on price. So a little bit of bearish divergence down there. Let's take a look at the S&P. Gold's looking good. Let's silver real quick. $68. Man, that was so high. I can't believe how high that was, you know. At 104. At 104.54. That, I think that was my target for silver. I ended up going up to 121. Alright, let's clear this off. What do you got going on here? You got the monthly RSI right at the bottom. We're pretty close to the bottom here. Go to 3 months. Could you have another wave coming here? A fifth wave to the upside? Wouldn't that be something? Man, if this thing pushes back to the upside, it's pulled down to 55. It's up to 68. $13. What's that in? No, it's not the last week. Alright, but we take a trend line on here, put it on the top, pull it down through. We got a break. Got another break here. You got a wedge in here forming. Right? This was making a wedge. So, if it moves the target of the wedge, which would be, roughly here to here. Let's get a measurement on this. You'd be looking maybe a double top here, maybe back at 118. Keep an eye on that. I'm going to put a mark on this. We're going to check back on this, the price label. Do we get a double top here or not? That's the measurement of the inside of the wedge. That's what you go for your target, right? You take the inside, you take the width of your wedge, you put it on the breakout, and that should give you your target, your price target. So silver could get a good run here. That would be, from where we're at, that would be back up to 73-74% move. Not too bad, right? If that works out. Okay, that was a falling wedge. Those tend to break to the upside. What do we got down here? Looks like a beautiful 1, 2, big 3 wave, 4 wave pullback. Did not violate the top of wave 1. Maybe it goes higher than that. We'll see what happens here. With silver, maybe we get a big push in all this. The S&P 500, the weekly bearish divergence. You have this high here and you have a lower high. That's not good. Bearish divergence on the weekly. The monthly, looking a little weak, isn't it? Let's pull this up. We got bearish divergence here. Yep, sure do. Get this high and lower high. Alright, so the S&P could get a pullback here on this thing for sure. Alright, as far as the trend line on this thing, you got one down here. Not quite a ways. This thing could come down and still hold trend. It is pretty crazy, right? But you do got some bearish divergence going on the S&P. The rest of this stuff's looking pretty decent, right? Think we're near bottom? Could we be? Let me know in the comments what you think. Some of this stuff is looking pretty decent. Will XRP continue this push to the upside? Right now, what have we had? $1.32. We're up another 4 cents since I started this video. So this thing keep going here. I know my brother is into XRP big time. He's been loading up on it. So we just bought some the other day down here at 98. It hit 98 down here somewhere, and he loaded up some more. So keep an eye on this thing. Not looking too bad, guys. That's for sure. On a monthly, you're coming up in a very tough area here. Oh boy, if it can get through this area right now, that'd be pretty huge. This whole area right through, what, up to about $1, call it $1.39, $1.40. Get a break of that, and you can get a pretty good run here for sure. XRP's looking really good. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Get over there and join Discord. We would love to have you come in there and trade with us. We got a lot of great traders in there, and we nail some pretty decent trades. So thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.